Good day at the allotment on a rather grey Friday, another grey day. I was watching the weather forecast last night and it said that it was going to be about 21 degrees in London today. Don't know what the temperature is at the moment, but certainly nowhere near that. Maybe about 16, something like that, maybe 18 if we're lucky, but it's very windy. And I hope this is actually going to come out and there's not going to be too much wind. What am I doing today? I am planting out I'm planting out some of our tomatoes. You may have seen on our Wiley Wednesday, I actually got on and put up a tomato frame. And it made me think that the way that I've always grown tomatoes and the way that my dad always grew tomatoes is how they used to be grown commercially in Guernsey. And what I mean by that is actually the training of them. We never stuck a bamboo or a rod at the side of a tomato and tied the tomato to the rod. We always had a framework with a string tied at the bottom of the tomato, and then as the tomato grew we would wind the string around it. Now when I was a kid, Vivi mentioned the way one ties tomatoes the other day, and when I was sort of 10, 11 or 12, I used to work in the summer months in a tomato vinery at the back of our house, a very large tomato vinery. It was a tomato vinery, and then I think it then changed to tulips and things at Easter, and I used to go and deadhead tulips or carnations, that's what it was as well, carnations. But during the summer growing period there was tomatoes, and they would grow to about 10 foot high, and one of my jobs was getting onto a ladder, one of those ladders that do that, and getting to the top of it and tying the tomato or spinning the tomato around the vine, not the vine, the line. So the vine around the line, the vine around the line. Anyway, so our frame is actually a frame where we will be tying a piece of string around the bottom of a tomato plant, tying it to the top of our frame, and then winding the tomato plant as it grows around the string, or the string around the vine. I'll also be doing what we found out is the Florida weave, where you weave inside and out, but that will be to stop it rocking sort of that way, if you see what I mean. So the string will keep it upright and the Florida weave will keep it from doing that too much. What tomatoes are we growing? Well, I'm going to show you. You will have seen us sowing them, and you'll see that there is quite a distinction between some of the seeds. I was really hoping that our saved seeds from our Amish paste were going to be fantastic. Actually, even though they're quite strong, they're not as strong as some of the other seeds. And that's interesting because having seen Jane Kelly's, sorry about that, that was a call coming in. I forgot to turn notifications and things off. There we go. Yeah, let's have a look at the tomatoes, because some of the ones I thought were going to do really well, I was hoping was going to do really well, like the Amish Paste, are not doing quite as well as some of our other seeds. Yet Jane Kelly and Kelly's Kitchen Garden, Kelly Bramwell from Kelly's Kitchen Garden, their Amish Paste tomatoes are looking much stronger than ours. It always seems to be the case that when I give seeds away, the seeds I give away seem to be better than the ones I keep for myself. Though obviously that can't be true. Anyway, let's have a look at the tomatoes that we're growing. These are the tomatoes we're growing this year. This one is Marmande. This is from fresh seed, from a seed catalogue. Doing okay, about doing well. You can see it's got actually a nice thick stem with plenty of these little hairs coming out, which when we plant deep, because what we will do is we will plant up to here. So all of this pot plus up to about here will go in the ground. So roots will come from the tomato stem, from these hairs, which I'm sure you already know about. But yeah, that's the Marmande. That's doing good. Next we have pink Bulgarian. Now these are saved seeds from last year, intertwined. I think a slug has just had a go early on there. But yeah, that's quite nice and strong as well. These are, I suppose, about a foot high. Then moving over, the next one is the Cuore di Bue, which is pretty strong. Is that the tallest? That and the one next to it. That's got lots of roots coming out the bottom. Really needs to go in the ground, obviously. Quite strong, that one. And then next to it is Roma. That actually has got a really quite strong stem on it. They have been hardening off quite a bit. So those were all of our new seed. No, the pink Bulgarian was saved seed, but the Cuore di Bue, Roma and the Marmande, sorry, I just knocked it over, were all new seed. Coming on to here, this is an Amish paste. Now you can see, I think, much smaller, but this was one that I actually put in the ground, put in a pot rather, in earth and left outside all winter. And then we potted them on, the seedlings on, when they came up. And it's been outside, where all the others have been in the polytunnel. This one has been outside for all apart from maybe about 2 or 3 days in the house when we potted them up on. So yeah, it's small, but it's noticeably much greener than all of the others. It's a much darker green, and I think you can see it's already got side shoots coming out, which we will nick because it needs to go up. These two here, this was Amish Paste save seed. These were fermented, and this one here is non-fermented. Now we'll put a link up to the video of the fermentation when we talk about fermentation, but they sort of look pretty similar, and in fact on the others that we've got, they are pretty similar. There's hardly any difference. Then moving to this one, this is an Amish paste from fresh seed, from real seed, and you can see that it is at least, you know what, it's the same as the Roma really. It's about 3 inches taller than our save seed, these 3 save seed. So will we save seed in future or go for fresh seed? I don't know, we'll do it another year and see what happens. I'm going to move you over again. Sorry, there we are. This is from our alien tomato. So this is the viviparous tomato. This was the tomato that decided to shoot from inside the tomato. So it was a supermarket tomato sitting on our shelf for, I think it was a couple of weeks, and it started to germinate. The seeds germinated inside and then broke through the skin. I've actually got 2. You can see that these were potted on. There's a few more come up there, but look at this one here. That's the one we potted on in the middle, and then there must have been additional seeds. Sorry, must have been additional seeds in the pot, because there's another 10 tomatoes there at least. And then finally, right at the end, we have our lychee tomato. Now this is, it is edible, but we're actually growing it for the bees rather. And as you can see, can you see? It actually has, I'm not sure you can see, it's got pretty vicious thorns up its stem. It really is vicious, and these thorns get stronger and stronger, are really as hard as iron and do scratch you. But then as soon as the plant dies, they soften, as we found out last year. So that is solely being grown for the bees because they love it. It brings a lovely a lovely mauve flower. And last year it sort of stood up without any staking on its own. So there we are. Those are the tomatoes that we're growing. And then coming back to the centre, these are the Amish Paste, which I think are our favourite, along with the pink Bulgarian. So this is fresh seed from Real Seed Company. These are Save Seed. And this is one that we potted up, a slice of tomato that we potted up into a pot in October last year, left outside all winter. It germinated. The seedlings were then potted on and then brought back down to the allotment and have been outside. So apart from 2 days maybe at home, that has been outside all winter. Okay, let me just show you where these are going. Just mentioning our bean frame. This is our bean frame. What am I? I'm going mad today. Tomato frame. This is our tomato frame. It's most probably about, I'm 5'8", so that's most probably about 5 foot, most probably 5'5", something like that, 5'4", 5'5". And our tomatoes on the lower plot, which is further down there, just in front of where that rose is there, got to this height last year. Whether they will do this year or not, I don't know. So, as I said, we will be tying a string to the tomato at the bottom, and then we will be tying that string up to here, and then we will weave the string around the tomato as it grows. I did see Nick from Nick's Allotment Diary putting out his tomatoes yesterday, and he used some mycorrhyzal fungi. And I think I'm going to mix some mycorrhyzal fungi with some Epsom salts and just douse the roots as I put them into the ground. As I say, they will be planted quite deep, so about twice as deep as the pot, but we'll get onto that in a minute. I've now set the tomatoes in their pots out. As you can most probably see, I've actually zigzagged them. They're about 1.5 foot apart this way, and maybe about 1 3/4 feet apart that way. So maybe if I come here, is that clearer? That there's one here, one in the middle here, one here, one over. So they're effectively being zigzagged all the way along. Right at the end, over here, we have an alien tomato, then Marmande, then this one is pink Bulgarian, then behind here, this one's Cuore di Bue, Roma. This is the outdoor Amish Paste. Then we have a fermented Amish Paste, a non-fermented Amish Paste, and then here we have a new Amish Paste seed from Real Seeds. So because I've staggered them, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. There's 9 this side and 8 that side. So at the end, we just have one alien tomato right at the end here. We don't have one on this side. I'm actually going to plant another alien tomato. If I just bring you right around, you can mostly see where our Portuguese cabbage is going to seed. I'm going to put one in the corner there. So this is really going to be our test bed for this year. So I'm going to plant these up now. All of these have been well watered, and I am also going to be putting a label next to each because I'll most probably forget that I have staggered them like that. If I just come over here, we have lots more tomato plants here, and also still in the greenhouse. A good number of those will be going to our lower bed, our lower plot on this site that I pointed out to you. Some will also go to the community gardens for growing at the community gardens, and others will be going to the Hanwell Carnival to raise money for our allotment association. So now I'm going to start putting these in. They've all had a really good water, and I'm going to start putting them in. This is a pink Bulgarian. Pretty decent root system on that. Happy with that. All right. So I'm going to try and plant this as deep as possible. Well, not as deep as possible, because I could plant it towards Australia. I'm certainly not going to do that. But that's, let me pop that in there. You can see that's almost double the height of the pot at the moment. This is, as I say, Epsom Salts and Mycorrhyzal Fungi. Just doing a little sprinkling. Put some in the bottom. Taking those two leaves off. And take that one off as well. Right, that's the first tomato done, pink Bulgarian. What I've decided to do as a test, I haven't used mycorrhizal fungi on tomatoes before. I have used Epsom salts. I'm going to do this row here with mycorrhizal fungi and Epsom salts mixed, just like I've done there. And I'm going to do that side just with Epsom salts. So I'm going to get on and do all of that now. I'm now going to put ties on each of the tomatoes to tie them up to the top frame at the top here. So I'm going to be using a piece of string that is as high as the frame, plus about another 1.5 feet. So I have my long bit of string. I'm just going to be tying a loose loop double knotting it, but it's a loose loop. I do that. So I've knotted that round once like a shoelace. Doing another one, which I can't do this way round. And then tying it. And you can see that that's quite loose. But that will allow for the stem to fatten up. Now I've got my thing. That will hold on the first leaf node. I hope you can see that. So it's on the first leaf node. Doesn't need to go to each leaf node. But I'm just tying it there. And then I'm going to pull it up. Right, so I've looped this around at on the tomato. It's actually relatively loose, this string. You can see it's not taut, or hopefully you can see it's not taut. I'm just wrapping it around a couple of times at the top, and then I'm going to loosely knot that, making sure I'm not pulling on this string. So there's enough give in here to be able to make sure that the string, the twine, goes around the vine, and it gives enough expansion. And by tying it up loosely but firmly at the top, it means that if this does get too tight, I can loosen it at the top and tie it back up. So there we are. Here is the string going up. You can see it's quite loose, tied into the frame just here. Now I'm going to do it with all the rest. Right, that's our trial bed, if you like, of our varieties, 2 of each apart from the alien, where there's 1 in this bed, all tied up to this top frame here. Oh, big finger. Top frame here. If I just leave that still, hopefully you can see that the strings are blowing in the wind. They're not tight. You don't want them tight, because if you have them too tight, they will you won't be able to tie them in that well, or you won't be able to spin the twine around the vine of the tomato. And secondly, if you have that knot at the bottom too tight, or if you have your vertical line too tight, then that can cut into the stem of the tomato, which will obviously reduce water and nutrients going up into the area that you hope is going to give flowers and then fruit. Okay, that is all done. What's the next thing we do now? Water, of course. Okay, there we are. that is the job done here. I've been looking at the bed. In fact, let me take you down there now. We are now on the lower plot, and this is the area here in which we are going to be putting pumpkins and tomatoes. Now, last year, you may remember if you've been following us for some time, the edge bed went in this year, and it's actually given us additional growing space. This was most probably about maybe 60 centimeters narrower than last year. Our pumpkins were all over here, and our tomatoes were in this area. And how many did we have? We had 2 rows of 6 on either side. This year I'm going to be putting the tomatoes in this area, and I will do again, I think 2 rows here and 2 rows the other side of 6, maybe 8. I have enough tomatoes definitely to do 2 rows, 4 rows of 8. Will that be overkill? I'm not sure. Can you have overkill on tomatoes? Actually, I don't think so. If you've got a freezer or you do bottling, I don't think you can do. There are a few things coming up in this area already. We have a sunflower here, another sunflower there. We have, I think, a sycamore coming up here, and some type of brassica, and over here some type of brassica as well. I'll most probably move the mystery brassicas to another area. Now, our lychee tomatoes, which are the ones that are for the bees, 2 will be going up into this bed where we have comfrey and other flowers. And if I spin you round, 2 will be going in here. So one will sort of tuck in there and the other one will tuck in down here. And then they can just get on with themselves, and the bees can hopefully enjoy them as long as they come to fruition. Anyway, there we are. That's where we're going to be putting pumpkins, and that's where we're going to be putting our tomatoes. So 6, 12, either 24, oh, I'm dropping it, either 24 or 20, no, 24 or 30. Is that right? 8, 16, 32. So either 24 or 32. Gosh, my brain is not working today. Okay, there we are. I wanted to get these tomatoes in at the top plot today, and I have done, so job done on that. That's great. I did it in 2 sessions, so I actually planted them all this morning, then went home and had some lunch with Richard, and then came back and did the tying up and the watering. I was also wondering, when I did the watering, I did something automatically, which I wouldn't normally have done. And again, I was suddenly thinking when I was watering, why have I done that? And that's, I watered the top of the plant, and then I watered the roots of the plant. And normally, you know, us gardeners only water the soil. And again, I remember that's actually what Dad used to do, but only when they were planted out, not from now on. So yeah, I did that sort of automatically. I'm really pleased with what's gone on today. So glad to get those in. Today was another day where it was quite difficult to get going, but this job is most definitely done. I'll work out how many tomatoes I want to put on that lower plot. They're in this, because I'm quite greedy for space, this bed, this tomato bed here, is also going to have 4 Market More cucumbers. So those Market More cucumbers, which actually are hardening off at the moment, they will be going into the bed. They'll be going down the center. And that's another reason to have the cross bracing, because what I will do is when the vines come out of the stem of the cucumber, I will train them up so that they're sort of always in the middle. I'm not sure if you can see, I can't see with my glasses. So they're always in the middle of the tomatoes. I did that last year on a bed just behind us here, and that worked really well. So there's a few other things that I want to do. I got a new water thing because my old water thing broke. So I've got a new water thing. I think that goes in there. Screws. No, that goes in there. Yeah, that goes in there. So I want to fill up my water tubs. Because the sheds are so rickety, I don't have any water butts on those sheds. I wish I did, but I don't. Also, the way that the polytunnel is positioned, there is a drainaway for water on the other side of it, but unfortunately it needs to be this way, and that's against the hedge, so I can't really get to it. So I have I have 2 water butts effectively. I have one which is a big dustbin, and I have another one which is a water butt. One has got, the water butt's got a lid, the dustbin doesn't, but I put something across so that nothing can get in. And I fill those up, and I generally use water from those so that it's an ambient water temperature, so that I'm not using the hose. But when it does get sort of quite hot, well, if it does get quite hot, I will actually be using this sprayer. So yeah, that's it for today. Yeah, that's it for today. I'm not going to say anything else. Of course, as soon as I say I'm not going to say anything else, I think of something else I'm going to say. And but I'm not. I'm going to leave that for another video. We will be, hopefully tomorrow I'll be doing the rest of the tomatoes, but I won't show you that. And then we will be putting our cheeky prints in, and they are behind me. Can you see them? There. There's our cheeky prints. That's the cross that we had between the crown prince and the cheeky curry last year. Those seeds have been sent to growers all around the world to see if we grow a cheeky prince. Who knows? Some of them are doing really well. Kathy showed hers on Planet Vegetaria this morning, and they look really great. Various other people have got them out. Kelly's just put hers out. I think Jane's putting hers out. So yeah, that's going to be quite fun, and going to be putting those out. And I'm also going to be putting our Italian yellow warty courgettes in. So I'm going to put 2 there. Anyway, look, another day's another day, isn't it? I'm going to shut up and say thank you very much for watching. If you like what we do, please do subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. If you don't like the video, again, why have you watched to the end? And if you do give it a thumbs down, that actually also counts for an interaction on YouTube. So it doesn't actually count as a negative interaction, it just counts as an interaction. So thanks very much for giving us a thumbs up, absolutely brilliant. If you give us a thumbs down, you're adding to our interaction statistics anyway. Okay, thanks very much for watching. See you another day. Bye.